Part 53. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Bulletin Chigwa. Chapter 524. Cell 36. The original warden was sent to a cell that symbolized the identity of the prisoner. The ghosts were amazed. I was so impressed that I fell to the ground. However, even after being taken into the cell, the warden's attitude still did not change at all. He did not dare to do anything to Yeyushin, but he could use his words. You're done, do you know what you are doing? Bribing prisoners, evacuating the prison, imprisoning Prince Li. If any of this is revealed, your identity as the wandering god of the night will not protect you. You still have a chance now. Release me, and then release Prince Li. I can report it to the court and not hold you accountable. The warden persuaded through the small window of the cell. Do you know who ordered me to come back this time? Oh, who is it? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. It's His Highness the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince sent someone to explain the matter to me. Although he didn't explicitly ask me to release Prince Li, the meaning behind the words was already clear. You have to risk offending His Highness the Crown Prince and insist on imprisoning Prince Li. Prince. The warden's voice was cold and threatening. You should understand what this means. The voices of common people are one thing, and the voices of the palace are another. You want to be a good person, but you should also know that good people do not live long. Today you have offended the prince. You will have difficulty in the future. I caught him here. At this time. Shen Jian said something coldly. Warden. He was slightly startled. Then his eyes widened. Damn it! What nonsense are you talking about beheading? Did you catch him? Do you want to listen to what you are saying? He looked at Shen Jian in confusion. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Damn it! What else can be said? If insisting on not releasing Prince Li only offended the prince, then taking Prince Li into prison would offend the entire royal family. Think of this. His eyes were different. There is a sentence that I don't know whether to say or not. He really wanted to ask Shen Jian if he was an orphan, and wanted to find his family through the implicated 9 clans this time. Or they have been dissatisfied with their family members for a long time, but they have no chance to retaliate, so they choose the fastest way to retaliate against everyone. Otherwise, how could he do such an insane behavior? See this. Shen Jian also lost interest. About to leave. From cell number 37 across the door, there were waves of strange roars. Haha, Master Shen is so majestic. He broke into Ganquan Palace without permission and beat him into submission. Now he has taken advantage of the warden of Jinglao to dominate here. I don't know how many lives Master Shen will have to lose by then. Shen Jian looked over. Through the small window, you can vaguely see a pair of sunken eyes. A noble man with a haggard face. It was Prince Li. What, you don't accept it? Haha, how dare I offend Mr. Shen when I am a prisoner, but, how long can you keep me in prison? You deliberately spread the evidence of my crimes, isn't it just to coerce the civilians and put pressure on King Guo? Prince Li sarcastically said. Unfortunately, your plan obviously failed. Those civilians may dare to shout and curse in public, but the instinct of the devil will tell them not to try to attack the palace, otherwise they will die without a burial place. After waiting for so many days, do you see any movement outside? No matter how big the noise is, it doesn't matter. I can't just live with my mouth. Believe me, you will let me out in less than 3 days. Yes, let us out. You are already walking on the edge of the cliff. If you make the wrong choice again, you will fall into the endless abyss. The warden of cell number 36 also expressed his loyalty at this time, saying sharply. Shen Jian had no voice. He looked at Prince Li in cell number 37 with a faint look. Think about it. The door of cell 37 was opened. Prince Li. His heart skipped a beat. The strange look on his face also turned into stiffness. Without the blood of ghosts and gods, he is just a top ghost king and is no match for Shen Jian. But this is Jing Lao. Could it be that the other party dared to hit him in front of everyone? This thought flashed through my mind. 3 seconds later, Prince Li screamed. Grass. He guessed correctly. But the price of guessing it right is a bit high. Boom. Ah, you deserve to die, you really deserve to die. Bang bang. What the hell are you doing? I am a member of the royal family and the emperor's younger brother. Try another one. Bang bang bang. Be presumptuous, wait until the king goes out. I was wrong, I shouldn't be so mean. After a stick of incense, Shen Jian walked out of the cell contentedly. Before leaving, he also glanced at cell 36. This scared the warden to the point where he crouched down and hid under the cell door with a look of disbelief on his face. It was too bold to beat a royal prince in public. Although there were cases of guards beating prisoners in the Jing prison, those were in Class C cells, and those who were bullied were the kind of sick people who had their spirits dissipated and were about to die. Such beatings of prisoners in Class A cells have never happened before. This person is a pioneer. Until Shen Jian left. Only then did the warden dare to step forward and ask cautiously, "Your Majesty, are you okay? Don't talk, I want to be quiet." Prince Li's intermittent voice came, and his tone sounded a bit weak, a bit humiliated, and a bit resentful. He swore that after he went out, he would have his skin cramped and peeled off. The other side. Shen Jian has arrived at cell number 1. Are you really not afraid of him taking revenge on you? Princess Milan was a little curious and asked. What Shen Jian did had completely made Prince Li resentful. However, instead of restraining himself, Shen Jian became even more unscrupulous. She beat a royal prince in public. Even though she was not familiar with this second uncle and didn't like him, she still felt pity for him sincerely. Just a dead man. Shen Jian said calmly. Then you will be disappointed. I have received news that more and more people in the court are paying attention to this matter. Everything you have done has been revealed. The reason why you are not touched is because it does not comply with the procedures. But one thing is clear, and that is to protect Prince Li. This is not only the intention of the Crown Prince, but also the tone set by His Majesty from the beginning. Unless Your Majesty changes his mind again, the court's countermeasures will be to protect him to death. Princess Milan stared at Shen Jian, as if she wanted to see emotions such as fear, panic, fear in this man. However, she was disappointed. Shen Jian's expression remained the same. There is no wave on the face. Doesn't seem surprising at all. Aren't you afraid? You spread rumors in the Qingguo capital. Although many people did start to condemn it, these voices had no impact on the situation for the court. Your plan failed from the beginning. Wait a little longer, the heat is not enough. Shen Jian's eyes flickered. The 1-month period until the Nanjiang District Championship is coming to an end. Counting the days, the copy will be settled in less than 6 days. The timing is just right. Think about it. Shen Jian said, Your Highness, you should have a way to make me the warden here, right? Aren't you already? I need a formal position. Princess Milan fell silent. After a moment, he said coldly, Okay, this prison has now become the center of the whirlpool, and the original warden is in prison. No one is willing to take over this hot potato. Now, if you do something, it will not be a problem for you to become the warden. But, I've helped you so much, but if you can't survive and die, what should I do? Princess Milan paused for a moment and seemed to realize that the sentence was somewhat ambiguous. She quickly explained, You were promoted by me. I have high expectations for you. I hope you can help me, but your current situation, what we are doing is undoubtedly walking a tightrope, and if we fail to do so, we will get burned. Shen Jian was a little funny. I felt a little strange about the eldest princess's cover-up. Think about it. Shen Jian walked up. Pick up a pen and write a sentence on the paper. When you're drunk, you don't know that the sky is in the water, and the boat is full of clear dreams that overwhelm the stars. Princess Milan read it out. She knew this poem, but what did Shen Jian mean? I will not die, and this is my promise to you. When this matter is over, I will take you to see it. Shen Jian looked at the other party with burning eyes. Smiled. What promise? Is there a relationship between us? When have I ever needed this kind of promise from you? Princess Milan lowered her head with evasive eyes. Heartbeat extremely fast. Obviously she had recruited many allies before, including many with outstanding abilities like Shen Jian, but this was the first time she had felt this strange feeling of rapid heartbeat. When did this start? She remembered. It was when this man overran her. The time she was banged against the wall was the first time in her history that she was pinned down by a man on the table. After that, the man's behavior became bolder. The last time it was just a buzz, but the two of them had never actually come into contact. The last time, it was holding his own hand. But this time, the man's offensive intentions were even more obvious. See it? Shen Jian's eyes moved. The arrival of the eldest princess of Daking. Current status: panic, conflict, confusion, happiness. Favorability: 65, ambiguous. Shen Jian took a look. Her Royal Highness, the eldest princess, is truly amazing and talented. Although she is in the capital prison, she is able to understand everything in the Qing dynasty's court, and her control over her subordinates is unparalleled. Not only did he single-handedly move him to the position of a fourth-grade night wandering god, but he was also given the position of warden of the capital prison. At any time, she can be called a good wife. Coupled with the magnanimous manner in which he treated the vice minister's wife. Her Royal Highness, the eldest princess, has the qualifications of a great woman. Think of this. Shen Jian resisted the idea of continuing to attack tentatively. Your Highness, please look forward to it. Shen Jian exited the cell. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, it was 3 days later. This day, public opinion in the capital of Daking has become increasingly fierce. The story that Prince Li's treason indirectly led to the death of hundreds of thousands of people, but was saved by the royal family, has spread throughout the streets. As time goes by, the surrounding cities have also received the news. The pressure of public opinion is increasing. It was also this day. Jinglao welcomed an uninvited guest. Tell the warden here that I am the official of the prince's mansion, and I am here to release Prince Li on the prince's order. The excitement on Shen Jian's face was undisguised. Finally come. Wait until all the flowers wither. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 525. Jinglao. Zhan Shi of the prince's mansion came to the prison to collect people with the order of the current prince. No one dared to stop him along the way. A group of ghosts wait and watch. They had stopped the warden before because the power of this position had been eclipsed by Shen Jian, and members headed by the Black Lotus Society had united the prisoners in the prison. Of course there is no need to fear a warden. However, things are different now. The Zhan affairs in the prince's mansion represent the face of the prince, and the prince is the future heir of the Qing kingdom and the current emperor of the supervisory kingdom. Unless he doesn't want to hang around in the Qing kingdom, no one dares to stop him. Soon, the people from the prince's mansion came to the class cell. The leader was an official dressed as a scholar. His face was broken and full of cracks, like a delicate ceramic product that could not withstand any abuse. When the porcelain ghost saw Shen Jian, his pale eyes were filled with awe. Let him go. His tone was condescending, and he didn't take Shen Jian seriously at all. His eyes were like looking at a dead person. Shen Jian's face was expressionless. Glancing at the chat interface. Luo Quan, Your Excellency, the news about the Crown Prince's mansion's forced recruitment has been spread. Roger, it's happened on my side too. Many people already know about this and are filled with indignation, and their voices of condemnation are getting louder and louder. King Yama, very good, there will be no need to hide it later, spread my reputation. Look back. There were some ripples in Shen Jian's eyes. After procrastinating for so long, it's time to reap the rewards. I just don't know how many people can be attracted by such efforts and utilitarian efforts to gain public support. Thinking. Shen Jian looked at the ceramic ghost in front of him and said indifferently, the prisoner's risk factor is too high. If I want to take him away, I need an imperial edict. The ceramic ghost was stunned for a moment, and then got angry. How dare you disobey the prince's orders? Do you know what you are doing? Don't think that just because you have annihilated the Black Lotus Society, you can talk nonsense. You are just a fourth-grade soldier. The night wandering god is not yet the commander. This is your person, come here. As soon as these words came out, a sword-wielding night walker walked out from beside the ceramic ghost and stared at Shen Jian with a cold face. I am the commander of the night walker. I order you to open the cell door and release Prince Li. Shen Jian glanced at him. The commander of the night travel god, a third-grade position, belongs to the immediate superior of the night travel god. Even he, the governor, is under the control of the other party. Don't let go. A simple sentence. It shocked everyone present. This man is so stubborn. The prince's face was not given, and the immediate superior's face was not given. This is going to turn the world upside down. The commander's eyes widened, as if he felt that he was losing face, and his cold grimace suddenly turned ferocious. Do you know what you are doing? If you do this, you will lose your head. Shen Jian looked as usual and said with a smile. If you want to take people away, bring the imperial edict and read it in public. Otherwise, who knows if you will just take people and disappear. This is a felon suspected of treason. If it is lost, I can't afford it. You. The commander choked, and his dark pupils became more and more angry. He looked at the subordinates brought beside him and scolded, go and release Prince Li. After receiving the order, Yayushin hesitated for a moment, but still walked to cell 37. Just when his palm touched the cell door, Shen Jian's cold voice sounded, I advise you to take your hand back and stay away from that door. Otherwise, I don't know if you can bring the person out, but you will definitely not see the sun coming out of the cell. Hear the words. Yayushin, who had just stretched out his palm, was frightened. I was covered in cold sweat. A pair of stiff hands just stretched out in the air, neither advancing nor retreating. Want to cry but no tears. If I had known he wouldn't have come. Before he came, he already knew about this man's deeds. Whether it was arresting Prince Li and sending him to prison, or disobeying the prince's order and sending the former warden out, it was enough to explain the newly appointed governor is a madman. What others dare not do, this man dares to do. If he dared to touch the cell door now, maybe the other party would dare to kill him in front of everyone. And the probability is extremely high. He didn't dare to gamble. If you disobey the commander, you will be kicked out. But if he disobeys the governor, he will die. See this. The conductor lost his composure, his face turned blue and white, and he roared, go, open it for me. The night walker remained motionless, lowering his head like an ostrich. Shen Jian didn't respond. Just standing there makes everyone fear him. The ceramic ghost's face was equally uncertain. He glanced at the commander who was standing there with a ferocious look on his face, but he didn't dare to open the cell door himself. He already had an idea in his mind. This governor of the town is really out of his depth. He was determined to refute the prince's reputation. Unless you use an imperial edict to demand people today, no other method will work. But, a dignified prince of a country comes to Beijing to ask for someone, and he still needs an imperial edict to get it. What is the difference between this and a slap in the face in public? He could already imagine what kind of disturbance would be caused in the court after this matter was reported back. I remember you. The ceramic ghost dropped a word. Choose to leave. In cell 37. Prince Li looked at this farcical scene mockingly. Why bother? There are all kinds of cases in Qingguo. Why do you have to keep an eye on me? Also, my eldest nephew is not a broad-minded person. If you make him, the prince of the country, lose face today, tomorrow he will be able to find any reason to dismiss you from your position. Then there will be countless people who want to curry favor with the prince. All the forces will regard you as a thorn in their flesh, and when the time comes, you won't even be able to leave Qingguo. He was not angry at the fact that the people from the prince's mansion returned in anger. Because he knows. This was Shen Jian's last struggle. Once the imperial edict arrives, if Shen Jian dares to stop it, he will be disobeying the imperial court and despising the imperial authority. At this point, Shen Jian had no chance of making a comeback. Hear sounds. Shen Jian glanced at Prince Li. Suddenly he grinned, you're right. When you get out, I won't be able to beat up the royal family casually. In that case, let's do it now. Prince Li. He looked horrified. His expression became even stiffer. While looking horrified, a hint of deep hidden fear was also revealed. Damn it, at this point, you don't want to beg me for mercy, but you still want to beat me while it's hot. Damn it. You are really not afraid of death. Crazy, you crazy. Looking at Shen Jian who opened the cell door, Prince Li roared. He took the first step and rushed towards Shen Jian. Boom. The next second, he was beaten to the ground by Fatty. You deserve to die, I am the noble Daking royal family. I already said this last time. Let's use another word. You, when I go back, I will cut you into pieces. I've said this before, there's nothing new about it. Insulting the royal family, if you want to treat prisoners of war preferentially, you are committing a crime by stepping on the horse. Opposite door. The warden wiped the cold sweat from his face. A sigh on his face. My lord prince, you all know that he is lawless. Even if you want to get high, you have to wait until you get back. Otherwise, apart from getting one more beating, what's the use? He sighed deeply. Although it was a bit offensive to say this, he still wanted to say, people are addicted to food. Soon, the people from the prince's mansion returned and brought the imperial edict. The meaning is very clear. Prince Li is a member of the royal family and should be investigated by the royal family to find out the truth. You see, the holy decree is at hand, you try to stop another one. The ceramic ghost looked at Shen Jian pitifully. The sarcasm in his tone was undisguised. He now hoped that Shen Jian would continue to be stubborn, so that he would have reason to accuse him of contempt of the royal family and arrest him. The smile was already filling Shen Jian's eyes. He turned sideways. Let the people from the prince's mansion open the cell door. They saw Prince Li, who was beaten until his nose was bruised and his face was swollen, and he was lying on the ground moaning in pain. They were stunned at first. Then he looked at Shen Jian with a surprised expression. What's going on? Why was Prince Li beaten? Shen Jian kindly explained, maybe he is ill. Group of ghosts. God is so sick. It looked like he had been beaten. Think of this. Everyone looked at Shen Jian. A look of surprise. But think about it. The most important thing right now is to bring Prince Li back. As for Shenjian, they have plenty of opportunities to rectify it. With this thought, the people from the prince's mansion quickly took Prince Li away. Before leaving, Prince Li looked at Shenjian with bitter eyes. Even though his whole face was throbbing, he still showed a victor's expression. As if to say, "This king is out, what can you do to me?" To this, Shenjian was indifferent. Just watch the other person leave quietly. Princess Milan's voice then sounded from cell number 1, "What's next? What are you going to do? Once a person is released, you will have no chance to catch him back. On the contrary, what you need to worry about most now is Prince Li. When will I cause trouble for you? Wait. What are you waiting for? Wait until Prince Li is acquitted," Shenjian said quietly. "Calculate the time. There are only 3 days left before the Nanjiang District Championship ends. That should be enough." At the same time, public opinion continues to grow. The news that the prince of the prison country came to Jinglao with an imperial edict to important people spread a lot. It can be said that the verdict in Prince Li's case has touched everyone's mind. After so many days of deliberation, more and more details pointed to Prince Li as the treasonous person and the culprit who caused the death of hundreds of thousands of people in a city in Daking. For such a crime, death by 1,000 cuts is not an excessive crime. At this time, on the streets of Daking, in Gulan, inns, vegetable markets, and other places where people gather, countless voices of discussion can be heard. Have you heard? The court has officially taken over the case. Okay, is the verdict finally coming? That beast, a member of the Daking royal family, actually betrayed his own intelligence, leading to the death of hundreds of thousands of people. He is worse than a pig or a dog. He must be executed, he must be executed. At this time, an inappropriate voice sounded. A figure wearing a ghost mask said, "Execution? You are thinking too much. Believe it or not, Prince Li will be fine at all. The so-called evidence of the crime will just sink into the sea and nothing will be done. Once the public opinion is over, then once the verdict is announced, the truth has been found out, Prince Li is innocent, and the matter is settled." As soon as these words came out, the whole place fell silent. The ghosts stared in disbelief, their anger surged, and they angrily shouted, "Impossible, the matter has been determined, and the content of the evidence has been confirmed. Prince Li can't turn around no matter what." Luo Quan, who was wearing a ghost mask, swallowed. Being watched by so many ghosts would probably make the faint of heart. He was silent for a moment and retorted, "Don't believe it. My uncle's second uncle's brother-in-law is working in Jinglao. He saw with his own eyes that the people in the prince's mansion used their power to force the governor to hand over Prince Li. If it weren't for the governor, he wouldn't have done it. For colluding with them, Prince Li would have been released a long time ago. Think about it, if the court really wanted to judge Prince Li, would it force a good official like this? Hear this." The ghosts had no way to refute. The rustling sound sounded again. "Yeah, that's weird. The governor is the good official who exposed the evidence of Prince Li's crimes and personally sent him to prison. He dared to force him. Does the court really not want to deal with Prince Li? No way, how can the court be so indifferent to right from wrong? If this is the case, who will dare to become a subject of Daking in the future? Are the lives of hundreds of thousands of people not as important as the life of a prince? It's hard to say. From the moment the court found a scapegoat, I didn't believe their verdict. If it really drags on for a year and a half, maybe the verdict will be overturned. No, if this case is overturned, I will leave here completely and live here. Even if I am beaten to death by the royal family, my death will be in vain. I will go to the palace to wait for the result. Yes, go to the palace and wait for the results." After so many days of investigation, the court should have investigated the truth long ago. Let's go block the palace and get a result. This sentence was recognized by everyone. The ghosts raised their arms and shouted. They all set off to the palace. See it? Luo Quan breathed a sigh of relief. He finally completed the task assigned to him by Shen Jian. He looked at the location of the prison, the doubts in his eyes not diminishing. Is this really effective? After so many days of denunciation, he had basically determined the court's attitude: death protection. Although it was extremely strange to defend a prince who had committed numerous crimes to death, the consequences would outweigh the consequences, but this was the attitude of the royal family and he could not change it. Is using the common people to protest really effective against a country that relies on power and ghosts and gods to build a country? He held a negative opinion. But this is what Shen Jian ordered. He could only do as he was told. The wave of denunciation intensified. A large number of people surrounded the palace, demanding a clear verdict from the court. Prince Li is to be executed to show the world. To this, there was no movement up and down the court. Until the second day. The court's investigation results were issued. Prince Li was acquitted. The posted notice clearly pointed out that the evidence recently circulated in the Qingguo capital about Prince Li's personal confession was deliberately forged by someone with the purpose of splitting the Qingguo. All these are the enemy's tactics. As a member of the royal family, Prince Li would never do such a thing. The instigator behind the scenes was the newly appointed envoy from the 4th grade town. He instigated rebellion against the 3rd grade minister, collected intelligence about the Qing dynasty, and sent back the forces behind him, which indirectly led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. Prince Li is innocent. After seeing it all, everyone exploded. The verdict has been reversed. Such conclusive evidence was actually overturned by the court alone. The blame was also placed on the governor who arrested Prince Li. The biggest injustice in history was completed right in front of their eyes. The court's attitude chilled everyone. This is treating the people of Qing state as fools. Thinking they could just fool around with it. This moment, the whole country was in uproar. The ghosts roared. There is a posture of rushing into the palace at the slightest disagreement. But the instinct from the evil ghost told them that if they broke into the palace without permission, they would die. Frustrated. Disappointment. Anger. Powerless. A mixture of emotions. Let these fierce ghosts who were blocked outside the palace look sad. They understand now. As the people of Daking, their lives are not as noble as the royal family. Even the lives of hundreds of thousands of people are not as noble as the lives of the princes. It was clearly a case that had already been determined, but it was actually said to be clear. The notice posted clearly told them, I have given you a step down, and you are almost done. Such an attitude is chilling. If they encounter this kind of thing again next time and are randomly framed, where can they go to redress their grievances? At this time, there was a sudden commotion in the rear. All the ghosts who heard the sound looked around. I saw a man wearing the robe of a nocturnal priest walking slowly. The man has black hair and black eyes, with a faint dark color in his pupils, and a signature hemp rope on his wrist is standing up without wind. At this time, someone shouted, "Isn't this the governor who arrested Prince Li? It seems like it's really him. Why is he here?" With the court's attitude, he should be the one hurt the most. Hey, it's hateful that a good official who eliminates harm for the people should be framed like this. The ghosts were talking a lot. A well-meaning ghost shouted, "Sir, don't come. The court has been determined and the result will not be changed. We see everything you have done. Qingguo is sorry for you." Shen Jian glanced at it. The eyes are deep. It seems that the reputation is good. But this can only win some good names, but not the hearts and minds of the people. He needed a gorgeous stage to end this copy. Thinking. Shen Jian arrived at the entrance of the palace. The guard warned, "No entry into the palace is allowed without an order. I am an envoy from the 4th rank. Am I not qualified to enter the palace?" Shen Jian said calmly. "Yes, but, sir, you have not been summoned, and you need to explain your origins." "Origin?" Shen Jian grinned. "I'm here to judge Prince Li. He should apologize to the entire Qing kingdom." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 526. Daking Palace. Jinluan Palace. The meeting dispersed. The ministers looked at Prince Li, who had been cleared of his charges. Although their eyes were angry, they were helpless. After all, the final tone of this matter has been set. Emperor Qing will protect this younger brother, and no one can shake this decision. As ministers, they could only do as they were told. As for applying pressure and coercing some ministers to jointly submit a memorial, these methods are all ineffective. Nothing else. Just because the current emperor is a world-destroying ghost and god, a terrifying existence that stands at the pinnacle of the Qing kingdom. The power of one ghost is comparable to half of the Qing dynasty. For such a being, his orders are absolute. He wanted to change his mind unless another world-destroying ghost and god appeared in Qingguo. Exited Jinluan Palace. Some civil servants gathered together in small groups. The leader was the father of the current prime minister and the wife of the minister. "Sir, Prince Li's crime is conclusive. If the court pronounces such a sentence, it may make people panic," a minister said worriedly. "Yes, if Prince Li can be convicted, your daughter and son-in-law can also be cleared of wrongdoing and enjoy family happiness." Hearing these remarks, Prime Minister Gui frowned, and his eyes suddenly fell on Prince Li in front, with a hint of gloom in his eyes. He didn't want to convict the culprit who framed his son-in-law, but His Majesty's will not be changed by anyone's thoughts. Although he is the Prime Minister, he has never had much decision-making power on major matters. If His Majesty had not already established a crown prince, he even suspected that His Majesty wanted to give up the throne to Prince Li. One can imagine how much His Majesty attaches great importance to this younger brother. It is simply impossible to convict this person. It's a pity that the newly appointed governor, everything he did was in vain, and it even led to death. Thinking. There was a sudden commotion ahead. Prime Minister Gui was stunned and looked over quickly. "I saw a figure standing in front of the palace gate. This man was wearing the robe of a nocturnal priest, with distinct features, handsome appearance, and tall figure. He was holding a simple long sword, and he just blocked the way of the ministers. At his feet, several guards fell to the ground. This official robe, is he the envoy who arrested Prince Li?" As soon as these words came out, it was like dropping a depth charge in clear water, causing a stormy sea. The eyes of all the ministers fell on Prince Li at the front. Break into the palace, knock out the guards, and gain the reputation of exposing Prince Li's crimes. No matter how you look at it, this looks like it's coming from someone with bad intentions. Only. Is this governor crazy? What is the difference between breaking into the palace with a sword and treason? Could it be that he felt that the court's verdict was unfair and therefore went crazy? Otherwise, how dare you do such a disobedient thing? The ministers were horrified. Everyone felt sorry for Shen Jian's impulsiveness. The other side. Shen Jian looked around at the officials. His eyes glanced at the father of the vice minister's wife, and finally fell on Prince Li. Grinning, "What a coincidence, we meet again." Prince Li. He was slightly startled. What a coincidence. You humming blocked the door in front of me just to say a coincidence to me? It's noisy. His face was serious, and an ominous premonition flashed through his heart. He has been acquitted. Is this dog still staring at him after sending him something? What the hell, what kind of hatred or resentment? I remember I didn't offend you either. Think of this. A hint of fear flashed in Prince Li's eyes, and he said angrily, you broke into the palace without permission and knocked out the guards. Do you know what you are doing? The god of night is the power to defend the capital, not the capital of a ruthless person. What you are doing now is conspiracy. Where are the imperial guards? Come, capture this beast for me and hand it over to your majesty. Shen Jian looked as usual. He said in a faint tone, Yaoshan monitors all officials and has the power to kill first and report later. I am exercising this power now. I'll kill you. As soon as these words came out, the whole place fell into dead silence. The faces of all the civil and military officials in the court changed drastically, and their heads felt buzzing. Kill? Kill Prince Li? Where did he have the courage to say this? The ministers were moved by it. Just because the court's verdict was unfair, this newly appointed minister from the fourth rank with a bright future wants to use his own way to judge the guilty? Are there any such righteous people in this world? Isn't he afraid of ruining his future? Everyone fell silent. He stared at this young man who hates evil as much as he hates it with a complex look. Although most of them were unkind officials, they still had the bottom line. They were equally shameless about Prince Li's treason, leaking intelligence about the Qing dynasty, which resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, and they also wanted to send him to death row. But they did not have the courage to resist Emperor Qing, so they could only remain silent. Now. But a fourth-grade governor stood up and chose justice. This made everyone feel pain in their faces. As the person involved, Prince Li's face turned even pale. Facing Shen Jian's gloomy eyes, the fear in his heart had reached the extreme. How dare he? How dare he say such words as killing him in front of the civil and military officials of the court? Prince Li roared inwardly. Shocked and angry. I was so angry that my whole body was shaking. But at the same time, a feeling of horror also filled his heart. Because he knew that Shen Jian was not a joke. The other party really dared to kill him. Where are the imperial guards? Didn't you hear him threatening to kill me? Why don't you let me capture him? Prince Li subconsciously took half a step back, and then suddenly woke up. He felt that he was making too much fuss. This was the palace, and the number of the imperial guards was not 1,000 but 800. Even if the opponent was a ghost or god, they would be able to kill him. At this time, a quiet reminder came from the crowd, the imperial guards have been dispersed throughout the palace to maintain order. Prince Li felt like he was struck by lightning. Sent out? Yes. Because the people surrounded the palace and asked for an explanation in various places. In order to maintain order, the Praetorian guards were deployed elsewhere. That is to say, except for himself and the officials of the Manchu dynasty, there was no one else here. Think of this. Prince Li finally panicked. He stepped back and shouted for help, stop him quickly. He dares to threaten to kill me today, and he will dare to kill you tomorrow. Can you feel at ease if you allow such a dangerous person to be in the court? Hear this. The ministers were silent, no one made any movement. Prince Li understood that these people also wanted him to die. Then, he quickly fled towards the depths of the palace. At the same time, Shen Jian moved. This sword will chop off your legs. He held the 7-star demon sword and swung it out casually. The sword falls. Prince Li's legs were dismembered in response. The whole ghost fell to the ground. Wailed in pain. During this process, the civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty seemed to be blind and just watched quietly. Until Shen Jian carried Prince Li out of the palace. Saw this scene. Everyone had a thought in their hearts, things are going to change. The Prime Minister murmured, after that, I have to let my daughter and son-in-law pay homage to this hero. Out of the palace. Shen Jian did not use the ghost realm, nor did he hide his figure. He just carried Prince Li and walked swaggering down the street. Out. The governor has come out of the palace. Are you okay? Seeing Shen Jian come out safe and sound, someone said in surprise. This is a good official who serves the country and the people. He risks being beheaded to expose Prince Li's crimes to the public. Although they are cowardly, they also know how to protect such good officials. Who is he carrying in his hand? He is wearing a python robe. He is a big shot. It's weird, why do I look a bit like Prince Li? I feel that way too, it's really similar. Bang, you two are stupid, that is Prince Li. I have seen each other on the street before, there is no mistake. As soon as these words came out, the ghosts were in an uproar. Everyone's eyes widened. That beast was carried out by the governor? What does the governor want to do? This doubt appeared in everyone's mind. They looked at the scene in amazement. They all cheered for joy, their faces turned red, and they followed Shen to the gym in a mighty manner. Wondering what this is all about. The news spread like wildfire. Soon, more and more people came out. Witnessing Shen Jian dragging Prince Li away like a dead dog. At last, almost everyone in the city received the news. A huge crowd gathered after Shen exercised. Be at the forefront. Shen Jian smiled. The smile was a bit wild. This is what he wants. If he wanted to, he could have killed the opponent while he was in Ganquan Palace. Even in prison or even in the palace, he would still have such an opportunity. But he didn't take any action. Because there are not enough people. If there are not enough people, the reputation cannot be increased at once. If the people are not desperate enough, it will not make much sense for him to stand up. Therefore, he waited until now, when the court acquitted Prince Li according to his ideas. Shen Jian knows. The time has come. Next. He only needs to follow the public opinion and kill the opponent in public, and the people's hearts will naturally be used by him. He was very much looking forward to seeing how many dragon spirits the entire Daking Kingdom could attract based on the people's aspirations. Thinking. The ground in front of Shen Jian suddenly shook violently. Layers of stairs were formed at Shen Jian's feet, eventually forming a 5-meter-high execution platform. Shen Jian threw Prince Li away. Let him face a crowd of people. The stage has been set up. The excitement in Shen Jian's eyes could hardly be concealed. At the same time, the players mixed in with the common people also saw Prince Li, who had to kneel in front of everyone on the high platform because his legs were dismembered, and Shen Jian, standing on the high platform, holding a sword, with a majestic figure. Their eyes were full of horror. After seeing this scene, they finally understood Shen Jian's intentions. So that's it? The reason why the big boss asked us to spread rumors is not to use the power of these ghost civilians, but just because he needs an audience. This is too crazy. Execution of a prince in public will leave a mark in the history books of Qing dynasty. Oh my god, this plan is too bold. Isn't he worried about being resented by Emperor Qing and dying without a burial place? Everyone expressed emotion. One by one they looked up. His eyes were full of admiration. No matter what Shen Jian's hidden mission was, or what his reasons were for choosing to execute a prince in public, the courage alone was beyond their imagination. To know. Executing Prince Li would mean offending the emperor of a country and offending a world-destroying ghost and god. In the real world, ghosts and gods of this level would destroy half the world, let alone destroy the country. A bad one, a proper death. Not to mention being held grudges, just being targeted would make them irrecoverable. Therefore, Shen Jian's decision to execute him in public made them admire him endlessly. This is definitely the craziest plan that they, as players, have executed since the advent of the horror game. Enough to shock the whole world. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 527. The busiest street in Daking. A 5-meter high stone platform rises from the ground and stands in the busy city. The eyes of countless people gathered. There was excitement, confusion, horror, and admiration. Apparently. Except for a few idiots who are really stupid, most civilians know what Shen Jian wants to do. That's why they admire him so much. The justice lost in the court must now be regained by the officials of the court. With this thought, everyone watched quietly. Looking at the arrogant figure on the high platform, he single-handedly supported the impartial executor of the Qing kingdom's laws. Also the sole executor. Even though the other party knew that he was going against the imperial court and would be retaliated against in the future, he still chose to use this method to seek justice for the people of Qing kingdom. The governor is the last conscience of the Qing dynasty. The other side. Seeing the high platform being built and the crowds gathering, eventually forming a huge crowd, Shen Jian knew that the time was ripe. He looked at Prince Li, who was kneeling on the ground, and smiled sincerely. How is it? Now you know why I didn't kill you before. Prince Li's face turned pale, and the pain of having his legs dismembered was not as good as the fear he felt at the moment. He said in a panic, "You can't kill me, I am the prince, and my brother is the emperor of Qing. If you kill me, Daking will not be here again without a foothold, you will be hunted down to the last drop of blood, and you will be in pain for the rest of your life." Perhaps because he was executed in public and watched by countless pairs of eyes, this noble prince still maintained his last trace of calmness. Don't make the same mistake again and again. I'm not dead yet, and everything can be undone. If you feel unhappy, you can put me in a prison in Beijing and I won't be able to get out for the rest of my life. Prince Li was panicked. He never thought that one day he would miss the environment of Jinglao. He doesn't want to die yet. I don't even want to be hacked to death by this sword. Normally, even if a Li Gui is beheaded, he can rely on his supernatural immortality to put his head back on again. As for execution, special ghost weapons are used to prolong the recovery time of the evil ghost and achieve the result of death. But this death is not inevitable. If there is help from beings above the level of ghosts and gods, one can quickly regain consciousness and regain a new life. Such is the principle of the Praetorian Guard. However, the sword in this bitch's hand is very evil. He couldn't even feel his dismembered legs, which completely disintegrated his body. Even if the legs are retrieved and rejoined, in a sense, they are no longer his legs. Damaged spirits will not be restored by retrieving their remains. For Li Gui, this is more terrifying than death. If his head is chopped off by this sword, he will really die. To this, Shen Jian was indifferent. Putting the sword on Prince Li's neck, he said coldly, "Tell me, in front of the people, who is the real traitor?" Prince Li was frightened. The sword was only 0.01 centimeters away from him, but God didn't give him another chance. He had an intuition that as long as he answered slowly, the sword would penetrate his neck. Think of this. Prince Li was tense all over. Even his voice was distorted. "It's me, Prince Li. I betrayed the Qing kingdom's intelligence, causing a city to be massacred." "Then why were you acquitted?" Shen Jian said calmly. "Hear this." There was a bit of struggle in Prince Li's eyes. Shen Jian was not used to it either. The 7-star demonic sword pressed down. The sword entered his neck, and ghost blood flowed down. This moment, Prince Li collapsed completely. The fear of death defeated everything, and he shouted, "Because your Majesty has protected me. As long as your Majesty does not change his mind, I will not be guilty, and the court will naturally not be able to try me. As soon as these words came out, it's like stirring up 1,000 waves. The ghosts were excited and their faces were full of disbelief. Everyone knows that the prince is currently in charge of the court. In their view, the prince and the ministers took matters into their own hands and acquitted Prince Li without authorization. But now, Prince Li told them that His Majesty knew about this and was willing to protect his brother to the death. This time, many ghost people who had some hope of repaying the Qing kingdom showed disappointment. The prince betrayed the country and the emperor protected him. The owner who should have resolutely maintained the interests of the Qing kingdom has instead resold his own things. This Qingguo is hopeless. At this moment, the ghosts felt as if something inside them had collapsed. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. A situation like this in Qingguo is rare in the world. No matter which dynasty it is placed in, it is unprecedented and unprecedented. He even had some doubts as to whether Emperor Qing wanted to rebel on his own. Thinking. An extremely cold voice sounded. On the order of the prince, I came to kill the rebellious envoy. The words fell. On the roofs of houses on both sides of the street, figures emerged one after another. The body was filled with all kinds of dead bodies. The leader, a dead man who had just crawled out of the grave, had grave soil falling from his body, and his whole body was filled with an aura of decay and decay. The supernatural threat it exuded made everyone pay attention. Spirits. It was clearly a ghost. When Prince Li saw this, his face was overjoyed. Commander of the Imperial Guard, please save me quickly and kill this beast. As he spoke, there was some hope in his eyes. The commander of the Imperial Guards, a powerful ghost at the level of ghosts and gods, and one of the best among the ghosts and gods. Because of the high level of terror, he was appointed as the commander of the royal guards, responsible for protecting the safety of the palace. He admitted that he was no match for Shen Jian after drinking the blood of ghosts and gods. After all, he is not a real ghost and god. The ghost and god who rely on external forces are still different from the real ghost and god. However, the leader of the Imperial Guard is not only a ghost and god, but also the best among them. He didn't believe that Shen Jian could still show off his power in front of the other party. Don't worry, sir. When I capture this beast. The commander of the Imperial Guard smiled sadly. But the next second, he couldn't laugh anymore. His face became even stiffer. As Shen Jian waved, a bright golden light bloomed behind him. The golden light dispersed. The light clusters like miniature suns were like stars holding the moon, guarding Shen Jian in the center, making him look like a sun god. The light on his body was so intense that it seemed to blind people. Completely unable to see straight. You said, who do you want to capture? Shen Jian looked at the commander of the Imperial Guards. Wherever he looked, bright light groups were also aimed at the opponent. If they disagreed, he would release the golden beam and beat him into a hornet's nest. This moment, the commander of the Imperial Guard was dumbfounded. Eyes widened. Grass. What the hell kind of special effect is this? I haven't even moved yet, and you're going to turn it up on the spot. Oh no. Cheating on the spot. CIAO, you must be fooling around. If you do this, it will appear that what I just said was stupid. At this moment, the commander of the Imperial Guard looked constipated. The horror in his eyes could hardly be concealed. He swallowed and looked at those bright light groups with fear. Because he could clearly sense that the supernatural power brewing in these light groups had reached a shocking level. Each miniature light group was comparable to the entire yin-chi of a ghost and god. If they all attacked him together, he would be killed. The kind that is completely dead. He thought about it. The duty of the commander of the Imperial Guard is to protect the palace. Outside the palace, everything is not under his control, so strictly speaking, everything that happens here has nothing to do with him. Soon, The commander of the Praetorian Guard convinced himself. He showed a helpless expression towards Prince Li. "Sorry to bother you, I forgot that I'm still making soup at home. The stew is still an old hen, but it can't be stewed for too long. Say it." The commander of the Imperial Guard turned and left. The other members of the Imperial Guard looked at the boss leaving, a little confused. "Ah, boss, you're a dead man sleeping in a grave, and you still make old hen soup?" The atmosphere was silent for a moment. "Boss is busy making soup, I'll go take a look." "Hey, I'll go too, I happen to have some experience on this matter." "You've all left, so why should I stay? That's old hen soup. Who can miss this?" "Coward, you ran away from the battle. As a member of the guards, I feel ashamed of you. I want to condemn your behavior." The last member of the Imperial Guard looked at his teammates who had escaped from the battle with disdain, chased after them, and strongly condemned their immoral behavior. The people in the audience stared at all this in stunned silence. "I just feel like my three views are shattered." At the same time, they felt a little curious, is this stewed old hen soup authentic? The other side. Prince Li looked at the leaving commander of the Imperial Guard with a look of despair. Almost vomiting blood. "God makes soup. You are a majestic ghost and god, or you are the commander of the palace guards. What are your responsibilities? Where is your moral integrity? Where is your loyalty? Have you always been so ungrateful, or is it just today? The troublemaker is gone, and now it's your turn." Seeing the leader of the Imperial Guards walking away, Shen Jian's eyes flickered. After thinking about it, he resisted the urge to rush forward and catch him back. After all, his current personality is that of a good official who serves the country and the people, and it is really difficult to capture the commander of the Imperial Guard. Then, Shen Jian returned his attention to Prince Li. The voice was as loud as a bell. Prince Li of the Daking royal family was suspected of framing good ministers, aiding the tyrants, betraying Qing's intelligence, causing a city to be massacred, hundreds of thousands of people to die, and a heavy blood debt, which is unforgivable. According to the laws of Daking. The words were left unfinished. The audience suddenly burst into earth-shattering roars. "Be punished! Be punished! Be punished!" Deafening roars echoed through the streets. This moment, people's hearts and minds are united as never before. This is the public opinion of the people of Daking who have been suppressed for several days and have nowhere to release it, and are extremely aggrieved. Shen Jianfu to the soul. He raised the simple 7-star demonic sword, and the sounds of ghosts and gods rippled. It's like the king of hell comes and demands his life. His crime, he deserves to be punished. The words fell. Laugh. Prince Li's head was chopped off. Heads rolled down. It reflected the extremely frightened face of Prince Li. That moment, the world in Prince Li's eyes turned upside down. He saw the scarlet sky, his own body, and Shen Jian standing indifferently. There was only one thought left in his mind: how dare he kill me? The head rolled down the stone platform. Prince Li was still trying to return to his body, but even the Manchuo ghost and god couldn't heal the wounds from the 7-star demon sword, let alone a top ghost king. Gradually, his consciousness completely disappeared. Shen, a dignified member of the Daking royal family and a noble prince, died on the execution platform in front of everyone, and died under Shen Jian's sword. His death was well deserved. This is also the day. It is recorded in the history books of Daking. The envoys of Daking were promoted from the 4th rank, and Prince Li was furiously killed in the imperial capital, and the cry resounded throughout the Qing dynasty. The whole country was in an uproar. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 528. Daking's envoy from the 4th rank suppressed and killed the prince in public. This scene is destined to be recorded in the annals of history. This day, the whole city was boiling. The moment Shen Jian chopped off Prince Li's head, the outcry reached its peak. Everyone was shouting excitedly, clapping their hands, and their eyes filled with tears for Shen Jian's righteousness. The prince betrayed the country, the emperor protected him, and the court acquitted him, resulting in the death of hundreds of thousands of innocent people. Their grievances were not redressed. At that time, I don't know how many Daking people were disappointed. However, King Guo is not hopeless. At the most desperate moment, someone stood up. Break into the palace, capture the prince, build a torture platform, sentence him to death, and behead him. All these honors belong to Shen Jian. From today on, the 3 words Zhenfu Envoy will become the last justice in Daking. Looking at the figure standing proudly on the high platform, holding a sword to punish sins, everyone in the audience looked at him with admiration. Then, I don't know who shouted, "Master Shen!" At once, the atmosphere was lit. The sound echoed throughout the entire capital of Daking at this moment. "Master Shen! Master Shen! Master Shen!" The shouts were loud and continuous. On the roof of a house in the distance, the eldest princess of Daking, wearing a sky blue dress, came unexpectedly. Her bright eyes showed obvious ripples. She stared blankly at the high platform and chose the figure of Dai without hesitation. Something seemed to be touched inside. The indifferent eyes also became softer. While everyone was shouting, she bit her red lips and murmured, "It's really random." At this time, a black shadow suddenly appeared beside him. He knelt down on one knee and said, "Your Highness, it's time to go back. If you come out of the prison privately, even with our disguise, your flaws will be easily seen, and things will be bad for you." Princess Milan murmured, "What kind of person do you think he is?" "Madness. Yes, it is stupid. It is satisfying to kill Prince Li, but this is the result of using his future, the rest of his life, and even his life. From now on, there will be no place for him in King Guo. It's me, and I would never seek justice in this way, it's too stupid. But I like it." Princess Milan took one last look at Shen Jian. "Turn around and leave. Go tell the secret guards that it's time to take action." "Your Highness, you are saying a low-level frame-up. If His Majesty hadn't wanted to suppress me, how could I have stayed in the prison for a year because of this kind of thing? It's time to get out. Heroes shouldn't bleed and shed tears." The other side. Shen Jian stood on the high platform, calmly watching the scene of thousands of people shouting. He is waiting. Waiting for the moment of qualitative change. Not long after, a bright golden light flew from a distance. It was a golden dragon, its roar resounded through the sky, and with an unstoppable aura, it suddenly descended over the execution platform. Next, is the second item. That moment, Shen Jian smiled. The laughter was a bit wanton. He looked at the ghost civilians in the audience, took a deep breath, and said loudly, "Today, Shen killed the prince, not to vent his anger, not for personal revenge, but just for the justice of Daking's laws, and for the hundreds of thousands of innocent ghost people who lost their lives. Seek justice, just to tell the court." One after another looked at him. The scene was eerily silent, and they listened silently. If the court is unfair, the water can carry the boat, but it can also capsize it. The words fell. Another golden dragon swept out from a distance. 3 golden dragons were hovering in the sky. This moment, there was silence. They all looked at this righteous man blankly. Finished. Shen Jian left. He took back the 7-star demonic sword, stepped off the high platform, and walked out step by step. The people who surrounded the street, the dense crowd, consciously stepped back to make way for a straight passage. In process, There were patrolling guards who wanted to rush in and arrest Shen Jian. But he was slapped to the ground by the leader, and then shook his head. Watched Shen Jian leave. The same goes for the members of the Night Travelers. He looked at the new boss with complicated eyes. Although the Night Travel God has the power to supervise hundreds of officials and kill them first and then report them, this power does not include killing the prince in public. Let alone the 4th-rank governor, even the 3rd-rank commander does not have such power. It can be said that Shen Jian has committed a big taboo. This night-wandering god's official robe will definitely not be preserved. But even so, at least at this moment, Shen Jian is still their boss. Their duties told them that Shen Jian should be arrested immediately and handed over to the court for processing. But their emotional side told them that they shouldn't take action now. Two concepts conflict. All members of the Night Travelers turned around. His back was turned to Shen Jian. Invisible, naturally there is no need to deal with it. Daking officials on the periphery also looked at this young man who was not going to die soon with regret. Killing the prince in public anger, just for the righteousness in his heart, this is the young man's spirit and passion. But after the blood, what you have to face will be hell. Some officials opened their mouths, as if they wanted to make meritorious deeds, but saw that their colleagues around them were silent for a long time, and rarely lowered their heads, pretending not to notice. All of them seemed to be watching this young hero go to the point of no return. To this, Shen Jian didn't care. The smile in his eyes could barely be concealed. 3 golden dragons and 3 dragon auras, this harvest has exceeded his expectations. In his opinion, if a dragon spirit follows, this plan will be considered a success. 2 dragons, that's value for money. But 3 dragons are a surprise. Shen Jian suppressed his inner excitement. Silently thinking about this, he just glanced at the location where the dragon's energy was soaring into the sky. The 3 dragon spirits come from all over the world and have no connection with each other. In addition to the one he already had in his hand and one of the jade seals handed down from the Qing Kingdom, the number of dragons in the Qing Kingdom has reached 5. He judged that the remaining 4 dragon spirits should not be in Qingguo. Otherwise it would have just appeared. In other words, to find the remaining 4, he needs to step out of the Qing Kingdom and search aimlessly. This is undoubtedly a needle in a haystack. It is a long-term project. Even if it takes several years, it may not be possible to collect it completely. But the 4 dragon energies gathered together, and he unlocked new permissions. Shen Jian glanced at the panel. Hidden mission, the Wrath of the Evernight King. Task conditions, collect the energy of the 9 dragons to reduce the national destiny of the Qing dynasty. Current progress, 4/9. Note, players currently have 3 dragon auras and have unlocked special rewards. Special reward, National Express Carrier. Note, the current player is the carrier of Daking's national fortune, and his luck value is and maximum within Daking. Any negative effects will be invalid for you. Players can weakly sense the dragon's energy. Warning, Daking is destroyed, and the national transport carrier dies automatically. Glancing at the panel, Shen Jian's smile became even stronger. He skipped the other content and noticed the ability to sense the dragon's energy. Others can only be regarded as icing on the cake, and sensing dragon energy is a timely help for him. After excluding 1 dragon's energy from Emperor Qing's body, the remaining 4 dragons' energy have left the Qing Kingdom's borders. In other words, these 4 dragon qi are no longer in Zhoujuyan Tian Palace, but are left in the other 5 areas of Luofeng Liuxian. This is the most troublesome. It means he may have been searching for years but still found nothing. And sensing dragon energy can make him twice the result with half the effort. Shen Jian's mood fluctuated. The unity of the 9 dragon qi is the key to controlling the authority of Zhoujuyan Tian Palace, and this is related to him unlocking the human path, one of the 6 paths of reincarnation. This is the most important ability of the 6 paths of reincarnation. It is also the most important reincarnation channel at present. Only by unlocking the way of the human world can the souls of those who died in the Yang world enter the underworld and be reincarnated. Otherwise, if it stays in the world of the world, it will either completely disappear or turn into a lonely ghost. Coupled with the assimilation of a thriller game, the situation is not optimistic. In thoughts, Shen Jian has returned to Jinglao. Passing by cell number 1, he paused, a bit of surprise appearing in his eyes. Think about it. He pushed open cell number 1. Except for a desk, the cell was empty. Mountain God. Shen Jian murmured. The mountain god in the image of a kind-browed old man has appeared next to Shen Jian. Grown-ups. The person in cell number 1 has been released from prison. Yes, half an hour before the Lord came back, a large number of people broke into the Jing prison and invited the woman from cell number 1 out. Shen Jian was thoughtful. He only knew that the eldest princess was imprisoned because she was falsely accused of poisoning the queen. He did not know that the other party could end her sentence on her own. It seems that evidence has long been found to prove his innocence. However, going out at this time is not a good choice. After all, he could already predict that there would be a huge turmoil in the court next, and getting involved at this time would only cause a lot of trouble. But think about it. What he can consider, Her Royal Highness the Princess cannot possibly not have considered. Why is he worried about this? But Shen Jian felt a little regretful. He also wanted to take advantage of this time to improve his friendship with the other party. The goodwill in the ambiguous stage is not stable. Once we don't see each other for a long time, the goodwill is likely to decline. This is what he doesn't want to see. Anything else? Thinking. Seeing that the mountain god wanted to stop talking, Shen Jian asked. The mountain god hesitated and said, "Sir, in addition to cell number 1, the woman in cell number 6 was also released not long ago. According to other people, the man who came to release prisoner number 6 was the prime minister of the dynasty. The other party asked me to tell you, sir. The prime minister's mansion is secretly hosting a banquet for you, your majesty, tonight, and I also ask you to show your respect." Shen Jian was startled. The minister's wife is also out of jail? 2. He beheaded Prince Li and directly established the evidence of the other party's crime. As a former prime minister, the other party would naturally seize the opportunity to clear his daughter and son-in-law's grievances. But, entertaining him as an outsider at the family banquet. The corners of Shen Jian's lips curled up. Calculating the time, there was still more than a day before the copy ended. Since someone gave him the opportunity, he would naturally not miss it. Thinking that this was the house of the vice minister's wife and that her husband had been released, the strange look in Shen Jian's eyes deepened. It's not that he, Shen Jian, isn't a human being, it's just that his sister-in-law is too charming. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 529. This day. News that a prince was beheaded in public continued to spread. In other words, it is just beginning to brew now. Previously, the spread of the news was limited to the capital of Daking, but after a day of fermentation, it has spread to surrounding towns. In just one day, most of the Qing kingdom knew that in the capital of Deqing, there was a young man who used his future and his life in exchange for justice. Countless people admire and feel ashamed. Everyone felt sorry for this young talent. The storm of public opinion continues to rise. It became everyone's favorite after-dinner talk. In the streets, alleys, restaurants, gulan, and even in academies and other places, you can see people talking about this young governor. At the same time, The envoy that everyone was talking about had quietly appeared in the Prime Minister's mansion. Shen Jian looked around. Except for the Prime Minister, and the Minister's wife, there is no one else in the house. It really can be called a secret family dinner. At the family dinner, Master Shen, thank you for everything you have done. If it weren't for your resistance, my daughter and son-in-law would not have been cleared of suspicion so quickly. The Prime Minister clasped his hands in gratitude and looked very happy. The lady of the Chamberlain and the Chamberlain officer were also toasting. The minister looked grateful. There was an indescribable emotion in the eyes of the waiter's wife. She was glad of her choice. When she found out that the person behind the scenes was the current prince, she was afraid that Shen Jian would abandon the deal with her. After all, the enemy is a prince. How many people in the entire Daking court dare to confront Prince Li? Even her father, the current prime minister, had to think twice when faced with this kind of thing. What's more, Shen Jian is only a fourth-grade governor. When she learned that the court chose to disregard the truth and acquit Prince Li, she despaired again. Even the court has chosen to defend the opponent to the death, what chance does she have of making a comeback? I'm afraid I can only spend my whole life in Jinglao. At that moment, she had completely given up hope. Until, her father opened the cell door and told her everything Shen Jian did. Only then did she realize that Shen Jian had chosen to angrily kill the prince in public in order to make a trivial deal with her, to establish evidence of the other party's crime and to free her husband from suspicion. Every time she thought about it, her heart trembled. A flash of anger turns beauty into beauty. How could Shen Jian not be tempted by what he did? If her husband and father were not still here, she would have loved to throw herself into this man's arms right now and let him love her. Although she knew it was wrong, she couldn't help it. Shen Jian glanced at the charming wife of the vice minister, his eyes glowed a little, and he calmly responded to the prime minister and the vice minister. After 3 rounds of drinking, the prime minister's ghost had already left. The waiter was also drunk and fell asleep on the table. Madam, your husband is already drunk. Isn't it your turn to toast me? Shen Jian smiled ambiguously. Hear this. The waiter's wife glanced at her husband with some scruples. After making sure that he was drunk, she coquettishly spat at Shen Jian and raised her glass. Ma'am, I want you to feed me. Shen Jian attached the ear canal. The servant's wife was so ashamed that she glanced at her husband again and said angrily, You are really good at misbehaving. How dare you be so bold in other people's homes? Ma'am, you don't like it? Hate. Said. The waiter's wife took a sip of wine. Under Shen Jian's gaze, he kissed her directly. The sweetness of the wine mixed with the different atmosphere made Shen Jian feel excited. The strangeness in his eyes deepened. That's all. A glass of wine that could be suffocated in 3 sips was divided into more than 10 portions by the waiter's wife and fed to Shen Jian. But, even though she was fed, a small amount of the wine still went down her throat. It made her charming, weak, and lovable face even more rosy. You can't help but take a bite. At this time, Shen Jian noticed a dish on the table. That's the geoduck described in Lu Sun's book. The lady of the Chamberlain glanced at the drunken Chamberlain again and hesitated. Still accepted Shen Jian's kindness. I don't know how long. The waiter barely woke up from his drunken state. He glanced up. Where is Master Shen? Have you left already? The waiter's wife closed her mouth and nodded. Hear this. The minister tried his best to open his eyes again. I saw my wife sitting on the table with a picturesque look on her face and an intoxicating look on her face. Wearing an exquisite silk gauze dress, she looks proud in front of her body. Under the dim moonlight, she has formed a perfect and concave figure. But I don't know if it was an illusion, but he seemed to be adjusting his collar just now, as if he had just put it on. This thought goes as quickly as it comes. His eyes soon fell on his wife herself. Looking at the charming woman, who looked like she was ready to be picked by anyone, something happened in his heart. Why hadn't he noticed before that his wife seemed to be more beautiful and charming than the concubines he kept outside the house? "Madam, it's getting late now, let's go back to the room." The minister was about to take his wife away, but he was shunned. The vice minister's wife closed her mouth and pursed her lips, as if she was digesting something. She shook her head at her husband and returned to her boudoir in the prime minister's mansion. The husband lives in the wing. It's strange, can she still be angry about my concubines? Otherwise, why wouldn't she say anything? She's not mute. The minister was puzzled, but he had no choice but to give up the idea of having sex. At the same time, Shen Jian left the prime minister's mansion feeling refreshed. Sudden. He looked stunned. Looking around, he saw a woman wearing a sky blue dress and a hairpin standing in the distance not far away. Her appearance is beautiful and refined. Under the night sky, she is like a green lotus that has broken through the cage and grown tenaciously. Her clear eyes are like a stream of water, luxurious, majestic and elegant. "Your Highness, how did you know I was here?" Shen Jian's eyes were slightly surprised. This woman is none other than the eldest princess of Daking. Based on her relationship with you, it is not difficult to guess that you will appear here. Let the secret guards collect information about the Prime Minister. It can be easily judged that you are most likely to appear here. Princess Milan smoothed her long hair in front of her, her tone was dull, as if she was unhappy. "You're happy. The court has already made a fuss about today's matter. I didn't expect that the person involved would still have time to have a private meeting with a married woman." Her tone was a bit sinister. Shen Jian. He looked at the eldest princess in the night. "Think about it. Step forward." The corners of his mouth curled up, and he pulled the other person away from here. "Your Highness, you came just in time. I wanted to find you. I still owe you a promise." Being pulled by Shen Jian, Princess Milan stiffened slightly, pursed her lips, and followed behind without saying a word. Soon, the two of them had arrived at a lake. Shen Jian waved. The wishing ghost's supernatural powers take effect. An exquisite boat appeared in front of the two people. Shen Jian stepped up. "Reach out and invite." "See this." Princess Milan's ears were slightly red, she smoothed her long hair and stretched out her hand. The boat floated slowly on the lake. The two sat on the floor, drinking a little wine. Soon, the wishing ghost's supernatural powers exploded again, and at full power. "Your Highness, lie down." Shen Jian smiled. Princess Milan was stunned. "Just do it." Then his pupils shrank. The sky in Qingguo is nothing but scarlet and blood-colored. But now, she saw the sky full of stars. "I saw the Milky Way flowing like a Milky Way and the stars shining brightly." She immediately recalled the poem written by Shen Jian. "After being drunk, I don't know that the sky is in the water, and the boat is full of clear dreams that overwhelm the stars." Her clear eyes softened immediately, and she murmured, "Is this the sky of your world? It's so good." Shen Jian looked normal and said with a smile, "Your Highness, do you even know about such a thing?" "There is nothing surprising. Although Qingguo is isolated from the horror world, outsiders will step into it every few years. This is no secret." Princess Milan looked at the sky longingly and was in a very good mood. "According to what I know, the horror world is a lower-level ghost realm. Not to mention ghosts and gods, even the top ghost kings are extremely rare. Generally, for outsiders who enter the Qing kingdom, the top ghost kings are already the highest level. This time, they got mixed up. I have lost your existence. Are you leaving?" She tilted her head and looked at Shen Jian. "Tomorrow." "That's fine. You were still too impulsive about what happened today. If you stay here, even if I want to protect you, I can't do it. But His Majesty's anger will not be accommodating to a completely non-existent person. She smiled. This smile made Shen Jian stunned. Their eyes met. They looked at each other for 3 seconds. Princess Milan was the first to retreat and her eyes began to dodge. Shen Jian's eyes moved. Lean in. A deep voice echoed. If you don't like it, just push it away. The words fell. Shen Jian kissed him. Princess Milan's pupils trembled, and she subconsciously put her hand on Shen Jian's chest, as if she would push him away in the next second. But it was just put on, not pushed away. It seemed like I figured something out at the last minute. A long time. Parted lips. Princess Milan's cheeks were flushed and she did not dare to look at Shen Jian. I'll be back soon. Shen Jian promised. No matter what, he will return to Qingguo again. After all, the complete authority of the Qing kingdom cannot lack the last dragon spirit of the Jade Seal of the kingdom. The next day, a scarlet panel appears in front of all players. Countdown ends. The copy automatically exits. At the same time, at the court, the furious prince immediately announced, he is too courageous to kill a prince in public. From now on, he will be deprived of his official position as the 4th level governor. We will search the entire Qing kingdom to capture him. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 530. Chapter 527 Name Change Fengde Ghost City. A scarlet panel emerged. This round of game has ended. Congratulations to the players for successfully passing the Nanjiang District Championship. The copy is being settled. Rating, S+. Experience gained, 800%. Note, you have been promoted to level 55. Item obtained, Thriller Coin *10,000. Get special rewards, National Express Carrier. Note, due to the outstanding performance of the players, the hearts of the people have gathered together, and the dragon energy has followed. You have obtained some permissions from the Qing Kingdom, please explore on your own. Obtain a special reward, the Trust of Princess Daking. Note, when the player enters the Qing Kingdom again, the Daking Princess plot mission will be automatically activated, the lineup selection will be fixed, and waiting for the copy to be anchored. Get special reward, Prince's Resentment. Note, the player openly provokes the court, and the Prince of the Supervisory Kingdom loses all face. He has completely hated the player when he steps into the territory of Qing Kingdom. The Prince's lineup has a hatred at 100%. Get a special reward, Nanjiang District Championship Champion. Note, due to the outstanding performance of the player, you will win the title of Nanjiang District Manager from the 4th grade official position. The words on the scarlet panel kept coming out, but the next moment, the panel fluctuated violently. Warn. 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 The official position of the player King Yama has changed. From the 4th rank town to Fushi, cancelled. Detecting player identity. It has been identified. Official position, Warden of Daking Capital Prison, 6th grade. Checking. Ranking 2nd is the 7th grade Night Traveling God. Special rewards remain unchanged. Player King Yama became the champion of Nanjiang District competition and obtained the authority of Nanjiang District Manager. As the scarlet panels continue to emerge, Shen Jian opened his eyes. He has returned to the Nanjiang Ghost Market, the transfer station for the Nanjiang District Championship. Looking at the changes in the second half of the game board, he curled his lips, no surprise in his heart. Killing a prince in public anger, even if the prince's crime is conclusive and the crime is heinous, is still not something that a 4th level governor can judge. Not to mention, He also broke into the palace and forcibly dragged Prince Li out for trial. This would undoubtedly be considered treason in any dynasty. Before the plan started, he had expected that his identity as a night-wandering god would be wiped out. This in itself was what Shen Jian had expected. Therefore, he prepared a second level of identity from the beginning. The warden of Beijing prison. The purpose is to avoid the current situation. Facts have proved that his precautions were necessary. If he hadn't asked Her Royal Highness Princess Daking to arrange a second identity for him, he would have lost. And now, he won. There is no doubt about winning. Soon, Shen Jian finished browsing this dense pile of reminders. Needless to say, he is the carrier of national destiny. He possesses 4 dragon energies, and he already occupies almost half of the complete authority of Qing Kingdom. If replaced by the copy of Yanjai Kingdom, he is equivalent to becoming the second heir of the copy. It is only natural that it now becomes the container that carries the national destiny of Daking. As for the second special reward, Shen Jian pondered. The plot mission of Her Royal Highness the Princess was triggered by him from the beginning, but due to trust issues, the other party never opened this mission to him. Unexpectedly, it was activated at this time. After pondering for a moment, Shen Jian skipped the third special reward and looked at the last one. Become the champion of the Nanjiang district competition and gain managerial rights. See this. Shen Jian's face showed a bit of excitement. He opened the game panel. Player, King Yama. Level 55. Identity, King of Yama, King of Qingguang, King of Shijiang, Emperor of Song, King of Officials, and King of Wheels. Position, Manager of Nanjiang District. The moment he became the manager of Nanjiang District, an information bar was automatically added to the game panel. Click on this column. District 12 of the Horror World, Nanjiang District. Heir, King Yama. After detecting the birth of a new manager in Nanjiang District, players will automatically receive 5% of the rights to the thriller game. Based on the player's permissions, you will receive the following privileges. 1. Players are eligible to appoint any supernatural place as the City Lord's Mansion. They have the right to change the name, autonomy, and jurisdiction every other year. They can open a passage to the Deep Ghost Realm. Quota, 5 people. 2. Players can cancel the ownership of any supernatural place at any time, making it invalid and unable to generate a copy. The local residents of the copy will become ownerless souls. 3. The player is in Nanjiang District, and the enemy's terror level will automatically drop by 1 level. 10% of the horror coins produced in each copy can be withdrawn every year. 4. Player reputation and max, status and max, blessed by the identity of Nanjiang City Lord. 5. In the dungeon belonging to Nanjiang District, players do not need to continue to participate. Entering any dungeon can have the authority to modify the dungeon rules once. 6. The player is currently the manager of Nanjiang District, has obtained 5% authority, and has opened up more ways to play. Players can plunder the rights of other regional managers, occupy more shares of horror games, and become the master of the horror world. Numerous reminders kept appearing in front of Shen Jian. He was slightly surprised. This Nanjiang district manager has so much power. It is not an exaggeration to say that he has become an uncrowned king. Dungeons were banned, dungeon rules were modified, and 10% of all dungeon assets were taken away. With such resource development, how did the Nanjiang District City Lord's Mansion reach such a state of decline? Shen Jian frowned. Not to mention anything else, just taking away 10% of the assets of all copies in Nanjiang District is an astronomical figure. Although he has not calculated it, the number of dungeons in the huge Nanjiang District ranges from 1,000 to 500, not to mention that there are also large gold drawing dungeons such as Huangquan Hospital and Rebirth Villa. It is conceivable that as the manager of Nanjiang District, the number of thriller coins collected every year alone has reached 100 million units. With such massive resources, the Nanjiang City Lord's mansion does not lack frequent ghost kings, but at least there is no shortage of abyss-level ghosts. The former City Lord's palace, also known as the Vampire Castle, is a specific reference object. However, in fact, in the huge Nanjiang City Lord's mansion, there is only one Nanjiang City Lord who is an abyss-level ghost. The assets it possesses are only the standard of a normal 4-star copy. What about the remaining assets? Swallowed. Shen Jian was thoughtful. It seems that the former Nanjiang City Lord is indeed planning something. Thinking. Shen Jian looked at the first privilege. Needless to say, the appointment of the City Lord's mansion is the most basic authority of Nanjiang City Lord. But he didn't expect that after becoming the manager of Nanjiang District, he would be able to open a passage to the Deep Ghost Realm once a year. This is good news. Even if he can't find any other way to enter the Deep Ghost Realm, he only needs to wait a year to enter it again. And there is no time limit for this. In other words, he can wait until Luo Fengtian is fully recovered at any time before choosing to return. Besides, after becoming a manager, he can actually increase his share by plundering the authority of other managers. Think of this. Shen Jian's eyes flashed. Whether it is to increase the level of terror or to protect themselves, the managers of these 12 horror world areas will spontaneously go to the Deep Ghost Realm, either to join forces, or to increase the level of terror, and then seize the authority of other managers. If the horror world is a way to select managers, the Deep Ghost Realm is the final chapter to determine the strongest manager and control the thrilling game. Thoughts are spinning. The expression in Shen Jian's eyes became increasingly excited. Magpie Nest Jazan, let the underworld anti-invasion thriller game, turn the horror world into the Fengde ghost town of the underworld. This was his goal from the beginning. Now, after becoming the manager of Nanjiang District, he finally saw the hope of taking the horror world as his own. This is a good news. With this thought, Shen Jian soon arrived at the City Lord's mansion branch in Nanjiang Ghost City. The wife of the City Lord, Pei Ninjian, is still as charming as ever. She is sitting on the chair, dealing with emergencies in various places with a serious look on her face. Compared with the former Nanjiang City Lord, she is more like the City Lord. See Shen Jian. The City Lord's wife Pei Ninjian stood up immediately. There was worry, expectation, and a hidden longing in his eyes. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows and said, "From today on, your identity as the wife of the City Lord will be confirmed." The City Lord's wife was stunned at first. Then her pretty face turned red and she gave Shen Jian an angry look. "Did you succeed?" "Well, I have obtained the authority to be the administrator of Nanjiang District. From today on, the entire Nanjiang District is at your disposal. You can show your abilities to your heart's content without worrying about being restricted by anyone. I believe you." Shen Jian's eyes were deep. The words spoken were sonorous and powerful, fully expressing his trust in the City Lord's wife. Pei Ninjian, the wife of the City Lord, is an out-and-out strong woman and a realistic woman. She likes strong people and is even more passionate about the power she holds. For such a woman, a man is not necessary. But if this man has her unparalleled power and strength, fully trusts her, and has an intimate relationship with her, then what he can get is a mature version of a strong career woman who only likes you. In front of others, she is a strong woman who is admired by others, but behind the scenes, she is a slut who demands too much. As expected. After hearing that Shen Jian had given her full authority to handle the affairs of the entire Nanjiang district, Pei Ninjian, the wife of the City Lord, looked at Shen Jian with even more intense eyes. She smiled charmingly. As he stood up, he took off the plush coat on his body. She revealed an ultra-thin lace nightgown that looked conservative but was actually vaguely transparent. She had a slender waist and a pair of white, straight calves under the skirt without any flaws. Her capable temperament revealed a strange mature style. She approached slowly. My breathing was a little rapid, and the hot breath I exhaled had a fragrance of orchid, which was intoxicating. She posted on Shenjian. Hold your head high. He looked at the cheating lover in front of him passionately. After today, she is still the wife of the city lord, but she is this man's wife. Then closed the door. Inside the door, there was a faint and rhythmic sound. A long time. The door to the city lord's branch was reopened. Dressing. Shenjian seemed to have remembered something. Asked, "Where is your husband now? I was wondering before, why didn't he show up for a major event like the Nanjiang District Tournament that determines the authority of managers?" Not only did he not show up before the game, he even showed no intention of showing up after the game. Isn't the other party curious about who will become the next Nanjiang city lord? Hear this. The city lord's wife shook her head. I don't know, his whereabouts have always been strange, let alone other people, even I don't know where he will go. Sometimes I may not be able to see him for a year or a half. Shenjian narrowed his eyes. Before doing this, he might not have had any idea about this sentence. But now, he already knows that every manager has access to the Deep Ghost Realm. The so-called missing people, did they go to the Deep Ghost Realm? If this is the case, how far has the former Nanjiang City Lord developed in the Deep Ghost Realm? After all, the other party used all the assets he had after becoming a manager in other places. With so many resources opening the way, it will be a welcome guest wherever you put it. If you think about it this way, the other party is just a guess of an abyss-level ghost, and it may also be wrong. Shenjian clicked his tongue. He probably knew the plan of the former Nanjiang city lord. Rather than develop Nanjiang district and then be robbed of authority by stronger people, it is better to take all your savings and go to the Deep Ghost Realm to develop secretly. What's wrong? The city lord's wife said suspiciously. Think about it. Shenjian described the many privileges that come with becoming a manager. After listening, disgust flashed in the eyes of the city lord's wife. I tried my best to help him develop the city lord's mansion. Every day I have a headache about the background of the city lord's mansion, and the source turned out to be that he siphoned off all the assets. Damn nonsense. You won't do the same, will you? She looked at Shenjian with a bit of hurt in her eyes. If I say I believe you, then of course I will fully accept your proposal. You can mobilize everything in Nanjiang district, including assets. What if I mess up? Screw it, you will destroy Nanjiang district, and I will be willing to do so. Shenjian tugged the city lord's wife's hair and said indifferently. Joke. Even if he really messed up, he would have a way to force himself not to mess up. Moreover, after defeating Nanjiang district, he still has 11 other districts. A Nanjiang district could no longer satisfy his ambition. Here, the eyes of the city lord's wife became more and more confused. There is an urge to close the door again and continue to be dominated by primitive desires. But after thinking about it, her legs were shaking and her whole body was sore, so she resisted the act of asking for trouble. In the end, he only said one sentence. City lord's wife Painingian. Current status, happy, obsessed. Favorability, 100, obsessed. Shenjian was a little surprised. Unexpectedly, this extremely difficult city lord's wife reached 100 points of favorability without realizing it. At this stage, it's up to you to pick and choose. Even if the request is a little more excessive, the other party will be willing. For example, on the balcony, lying on the isolation window where people come and go, separated from her husband by a wall, making phone calls, even in person. She couldn't think about it anymore, otherwise she would be destroyed again. Suppress this lingering thought. Shenjian said, the Nanjiang City Lord's Mansion will officially change its name, and the next step will be left to you. Rename. Yes, starting today, the Nanjiang City Lord's Mansion has officially changed its name to Fengdu City. Shen Jian's tone was faint, with the sounds of ghosts and gods echoing in his voice. And Nanjiang District is the ghost town of Fengdu. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 531. Real World. Hades. Yama Hall. After a month, there were no problems within the underworld. Everything is running in an orderly manner. Certainly. This is also related to the fact that the 6 paths of reincarnation are not officially running and no ghosts have entered the underworld. Shen Jian was sitting in the Hall of Hell, overlooking the underworld that had been mostly rebuilt, feeling a little confused in his heart. Compared with the scene more than a year ago, when there was only one Yama temple standing alone, the underworld now can be regarded as a visit to the house. It has completely reached the level of coming to the world of the sun for people to visit. Except for the final 6 paths of reincarnation, all basic facilities have been completed. Shen Jian looked thoughtful. He has unlocked 6 of the 10 Yama halls in the underworld. The most important palaces of King Qingguang, Palace of Yama, and Palace of Chakravartin have been unlocked, forming a complete trial path. Between these 3 Yama halls, the wronged soul has completed all the rewards and punishments during its lifetime. Those who commit the most heinous crimes will be sent to the 18th level of hell to wash away their sins. Those with merit can work as errands in the underworld, or they can choose a good birth and be reincarnated. Shen Jian pondered. All in all, the underworld is fully ready to open for business. But due to lack of hardware, it can only be temporarily stranded. 1. Mengpo soup. 2nd, 6 paths of reincarnation. Thinking. The heavy body shape disappears. When he reappeared, he had arrived at the 6 paths of reincarnation. 6 huge grey whirlpools appeared in front of him. Shen Jian looked over. Tian Shen Dao, unlocked. The Way of the World, unlocked. Shura Dao, unlocked. Beast Way, unlocked. Hungry Ghost Road, unlocked. Hell Path, unlocked. Among the 6 paths, the human path has unlocking conditions. He needs to completely recover one of Luo Fengtian. As for this target, Shen Jian set his sights on Zhouju Yin Tiangong, that is, Qingguo. If you want to completely reclaim Qingguo, you need to take back the authority to control Qingguo. The authority was divided into 9 and became 9 so-called dragon spirits. Only unity can complete the authority of Zhouju Yin Tian Palace. Thoughts are spinning. Shen Jian suddenly discovered something. A flash of surprise flashed in his eyes. Because another 6 paths of reincarnation has unlocking conditions. Hell Path, unlocked. Unlocking conditions, 50 evil ghosts. Shen Jian's face showed excitement. Because of the conditions for unlocking the Hell Realm, it is not difficult. The so-called evil ghosts are extremely vicious ghosts whose own grievances have reached such an extent that they cannot be resolved. In the dungeons he experienced, the number of evil spirits was not small. Although most of them have not reached the true evil ghost stage, they are only one step away. And in this step, he can help these evil ghosts really step in. Think of this. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. Nanjiang District has become his territory, and he can no longer enter the dungeon that Nanjiang District belongs to. However, there are more than one Nanjiang District in the horror game, so at worst he can go to Donglan District. It was only a matter of time before we gathered 50 evil ghosts. Qingxi. City God's Hall. Ever since he learned about the conditions for unlocking the Hell Realm, Shen Jian's heart has been focused on horror games. This day, the phone rang from the Daxia Longke branch in Qingxi. Qian Quan's voice came, "Mr. Shen, you are finally back." What happened? Shen Jian was startled. The instructor of Daxialongqueking City branch would not call him unless there were special circumstances. But in Qingxi right now, there are undercover patrols and the intimidation of the underworld. Who else dares to commit evil? Ahem, there is something wrong. As you know, Mr. Shen, since the Angel's arrival incident occurred in Ivy City more than a year ago, remarks about the underworld, King Yama, etc. have been spread to the internet, and countries around the world have launched investigations into this matter. In 1 month, a large number of Chinese people poured into Qingxi, including a large number of Western ghost warriors. These people are not like our country's ghost masters, who have awe of the legends of the underworld. Although Qingxi explicitly prohibits ghost masters from using supernatural powers, those Western ghost masters don't care about this and go their own way. Although we have arrested many, but there are still some troublesome ghost masters who have evaded our pursuit. Because they are led by ghost masters from their own country, these people know how to avoid the patrols of the underworld as much as possible. For this reason, Qingxi has gone through a lot of twists and turns. We want to know, Mr. Shen, if you have any way to locate these ghost masters. Traces. After listening, Shen Jian frowned. The Angel's arrival incident in Ivy City had a huge impact on public opinion, and he knew this. But he still underestimated how seriously these Western ghost masters took this matter. To be able to avoid the Great Xiaolonke, or even Yinza's patrols, one must be at least the top ghost control among 4-star players. Players in this category are generally between level 50 and 60. Although he only controlled Jigsaw, the 3 fierce ghosts, he already had the ability to temporarily compete with the Ghost King. In the country's supernatural circle, he is already considered one of the top 10 ghost masters. It is normal for Daxialongke to be unable to catch him. I see. Hang up the phone. Shen Jian's fingers tapped on the edge of the table unconsciously. Between the lips and tongue, the voice of ghosts and gods rang out. Qingyu Mountain God, come quickly. Soon. A kind old man appeared in front of Shen Jian. He is the mountain god of Qingyu Mountain and the first minor god canonized by the underworld. He is responsible for monitoring the affairs of Qing City. Do you know about the Western ghost masters who have poured into Qing City recently? The mountain god said, My lord, they are all recorded in the book, but one of them has a very strange situation. He seems to have mastered some kind of weird supernatural power, which can temporarily block my perception, as if there is a being of the same level behind him to protect him. Shen Jian was startled. Although the mountain god of Qingyu Mountain is not a small god with strong feet, he still has ghost-level strength. Only ghosts and gods can temporarily short-circuit the mountain god's perception. Think of this. The interest in Shen Jian's eyes became even greater. The water in the Western world is deeper than he imagined. A Cleopatra was stranded in the underworld and took up residence in the pyramids. Now, another ghost controller related to ghosts and gods has appeared. He doubted whether the ghost masters were calling the shots in the Western world, or had ghosts and gods already dominated that area. While thinking, Shen Jian has already opened the information compiled by Shan Shen. At the same time, Qingxi, a high-end foot massage club, VIP box number 3. 2 men were lying on the sofa, one had blonde hair and brown eyes, and the other was Chinese with black hair and black eyes. In front of the 2 of them, a stack of information came into view. All kinds of information and photos are densely recorded above. There is a community house number, a certain real estate female boss, an office, and a villa. Mr. Smith, this is what we have investigated during this period, about the life of Shen Jian, the person in charge of Qing City. The Chinese man spoke fluent English and pointed at the information on the photo. This is the community where he lived before entering the horror game. The real estate female boss Ji Haifei is a friend he knows, and this supernatural office is also run by Ji Haifei herself. I think that between the 2 of them, there should be some kind of intimacy between them. As for this villain No 001, according to our investigation, he doesn't seem to go there often, but there are always members of Daxialanke patrolling around it. I suspect that there is a big secret in it. Hear the words. The foreign blonde man Smith frowned. Damn it, what I want is information about the underworld, information about King Yama, not the life of a mere city leader. This kind of garbage cannot enter my eyes at all. The Chinese man was not in a hurry and continued, Mr. Smith, believe me, it is too dangerous to go directly to explore the underworld's intelligence. Even a top ghost master like you cannot face a team of underworld agents, let alone the underworld. Our blood clan has already experienced this once. For this reason, we lost a blood ancestor. Hear this. Smith's frown deepened. He secretly sneaked into the Dragon Kingdom in order to get information about the underworld, but now, he had to be careful because of the huge underworld. This made his pride as a Western ghost master unacceptable. But the Chinese man's words did make him a little afraid. Among this emerging vampire group, the blood ancestor's strength is no worse than his. Even if the other party is here, he will not be safe. And he also had a vague premonition these days. It was as if he was being watched by some kind of being. Think of this. Smith said irritably, then what does this person have to do with the underworld? The Chinese man explained, Qingxi is the place where the underworld comes. We have reason to suspect that the person in charge of Qingxi here knows a lot of secrets about the underworld. If we catch him, we can go to the underworld without disturbing the underworld, get the information. Hear the words. Smith thought for a moment and nodded. It makes sense, then these places. We need to search everything, including this woman who is suspected of having an intimate relationship with the person in charge of Qing City. Even if our final search yields no results, we can kidnap this woman and force the person in charge of Qing City to show up. The Chinese man answered and his expression turned sinister. A pair of black eyes had a faint scarlet luster. Very good. It's really easy to cooperate with your vampires. It's settled then. My people will be responsible for searching several properties owned by that yellow-skinned monkey, and you will be responsible for arresting that woman. Smith said happily. Hopefully we'll get something soon. Congratulations. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 532. The plan begins. The two hit it off immediately. The Western Ghost controllers, led by Smith, went to the three properties of the person in charge of Qingxi to conduct searches. The Blood Clan members brought by the Chinese men took the opportunity to kidnap Ji Haifei, a female real estate owner who had a close relationship with the person in charge of Qingxi. The two teams have a clear division of labor. Trying to complete this drama of luring a snake out of its hole under the supervision of Daxialanke and the underworld. Soon. A group of 4 blonde foreign ghost masters have arrived at the residential complex where Shenjian lives. They stared at the community, their eyes were cold and frightening, without any emotion, like corpses standing there motionless. Someone in the residential building saw these foreigners with different hair colors and pupils. A kind person was about to step forward to ask if he needed help. Before he got closer than 2 meters, he suddenly noticed a cold breath spreading out. The surrounding temperature dropped significantly, as if he was approaching an old cemetery deep in the mountains and forests. It's so infiltrative that it's unbelievable. Especially the looks in the eyes of these 4 foreigners were even more creepy, and they could only leave in anger. At this time, someone said, "Is this the community where the person in charge of Qingxi lives?" The information is correct. This should be the residence of the person in charge of Qing City before he was selected by the thriller game. Aren't people from the Dragon Kingdom the most particular about returning fallen leaves to their roots? Maybe he will hide clues about the underworld in his hometown before he became rich. Captain, we're taking action. A burly man with a walkie-talkie hanging on his chest spoke. Okay, pay attention to safety. This operation is focused on high efficiency. If the operation fails, we will leave here temporarily, so there is no need to worry about the person in charge here noticing anything unusual. Smith's voice came over the intercom. Hear the instructions. 4 people took action. All the way to the floor where the person in charge of Qing City lives, he entered the room. This is a 1-bedroom and 1 living room house. The area is not large. Suitable for singles or couples. Inside the room, all the furniture is there. The floors, tables, chairs, and even the bedrooms are all kept clean and tidy. It doesn't look like anyone lives there. Instead, there is a sense that someone is always living in the room and cleaning it every day. Captain, something seems wrong. This place is too clean. It doesn't look like no one has lived there for a long time. Reported by the burly man. Search as soon as possible. The 4 of you together can escape unscathed even if you face the person in charge of the city. Even if the person in charge of Qingxi left any supernatural props here, Wush's supernatural powers are nothing to be afraid of. Search. The burly man shouted in a low voice. However, at this time, the TV in the hall suddenly flashed a busy line, and then the picture became clearer and clearer. Finally, it settled on the picture of a dry well. In the screen, a woman with disheveled hair and dressed in white crawled out of the dry well. The woman got closer and closer. Close to the edge of the TV screen. Then, he stretched out a pale ghost hand that had been dead for 3 days and 3 nights. This moment, the expressions of the 4 people changed drastically. Breaking into a cold sweat. Sad, Sadako. Omega, why did Sadako appear here? Hell, the person in charge of Qingxi actually raised a ghost. Isn't he afraid that the ghost will lose control and turn this community into a ghost building? Why are you panicking? Ghosts like Sadako are spread all over the world. However, because of the very sufficient killing patterns, Sadako is not difficult to deal with. The threat is not high on the list of evil ghosts, and the terror level has not exceeded redcoat level. We can imprison her. The burly man quickly regained his composure. Getting ready to take action. Sadako had climbed halfway out, raised her beautiful face hidden by her hair, and looked at them with deep resentment in her eyes. You deserve to die, you deserve to die. You guys have trampled on my home. This is my home and his. Sadako roared slightly madly. He made a strange tone that was different from his normal voice. You deserve to die. Do you hear your own dying heartbeat? This moment, the terrifying supernatural power belonging to the top ghost king swept across the entire room in an instant. The terrifying supernatural oppression is even more shrouded. Hearing this vicious voice, the 4 foreign ghost masters immediately felt difficulty breathing, and their hearts felt as if they were being hit hard by a heavy hammer, again and again, until their hearts were cracked and turned into minced flesh. Thump. 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 Less than 2 seconds. 3 foreign ghost masters have collapsed in fear. There were no injuries on his body, but he died on the spot strangely. Even the ghost jigsaw inside his body did not dare to revive at all at this moment. Instead, he shivered in the body of the ghost master. The situation of the burly man was not much better. His soul was gone, and his whole body was extremely frightened. The top ghost king. He screamed uncontrollably, and the blood in his body seemed to be solidified. A Sadako turned out to be the top ghost king. What a joke. A ghost of this level of terror, even if placed in their country, would be enough to cause a catastrophe. And a fierce ghost of this level is suspected to be raised by the person in charge of Qing City. This news is so shocking. His three views were shattered. So that at the moment when he was cursed, the only thing he could think of was to inform the captain that something was wrong with the person in charge of Qing City and that he must retreat urgently. Team. As soon as he uttered a word, the burly man died on the spot. The other side. Smith has arrived at the paranormal agency. According to the investigation results, shortly after being selected by the thriller game, the person in charge of Qingxi opened this office to specialize in receiving clients who encountered supernatural events. After all, it should be regarded as the early working place of the person in charge. He believed that such a work related to the supernatural might have clues left behind. Thinking. A voice came from the intercom, "Captain, we have broken through Daxia Lonke's surveillance, successfully entered the villa area, and have arrived at the door of Villa No 001. Very well, be careful. I heard that there were rumors that this villa was haunted in the early days. Although there is a high probability that he has been imprisoned, don't be careless. Say it." Smith then asked his teammates who went to the residential area, "How is the situation over there?" A long time. No one answered. Until a moment later, a vicious voice sounded from the intercom. "You, damn it." As soon as these words came out, Smith's pupils shrank. I almost couldn't control myself and dropped the walkie-talkie in my hand. After all, Li Gui's supernatural powers don't make sense. It was not like he had never seen a ghost that cursed someone through communication equipment. But he soon reacted. This is not a curse. This is a simple statement of catharsis. But it was enough to make him feel gloomy. Because the walkie-talkie was obtained by Li Gui, this is enough to prove that the teammates who went to the residential area have been wiped out. To know. The teammates he brings are elite. A group of 4 is enough to compete with a weaker city leader. However, he was destroyed by the Li Gui group. The terrifying level of this fierce ghost is at least above the red level. Think of this. Smith cursed secretly. Madman. Raising a red-clad fierce ghost, the person in charge of Qing City is really crazy. From this point of view, the secret should be hidden in the residential area. Otherwise, there is no need to raise a red-clothed level ghost to guard it. Looking at the supernatural office in front of him, Smith frowned, but still did not choose to go in. At this time, screams came from the intercom. "Ah! Captain, there is a big problem in Villa No 001. Damn, there's a ghost here, 2 female ghosts. Captain, run. There are 2 top ghost kings here. One is codenamed Ghost Painting, and the other is codenamed River Goddess. There is something wrong with the person in charge of Qingxi. He has another identity. I heard those 2 ghosts calling him husband." The sound of the intercom went away as quickly as it came. Just less than 3 seconds. Silence was completely restored. But Smith, who was standing at the door of the supernatural agency, felt cold all over. There was an inexplicable fear that quietly swept through his heart. Top Ghost King? There are 2 top Ghost Kings living in Villa No 001? Are you still calling me the husband of the person in charge of Qing City? How can this be? How can this be true? How can a city leader, who is not even a 5-star player, make the top Ghost King submissive? No, even 5-star players don't have the ability to attract the attention of top Ghost Kings. What is his identity? The more I think about it, Smith became more and more horrified. As a level 59 player, he might be able to compete with the Ghost King, but the top Ghost King is definitely not on his enemy list. Hell, he was just here to gather information. I never thought it would be life-threatening. Looking at the supernatural business in front of him, a ridiculous idea suddenly arose in his heart. There are evil ghosts living in the residential buildings. There is a ghost living in Villa 001. What about the supernatural agency in front of him? As soon as this thought came out, A chill went straight through the sky. He immediately shouted, "Retreat, retreat quickly." However, the words have not yet finished. In the supernatural office, there is the clanging sound of chains shaking, and a mysterious bell ringing with wonderful sounds, which is heart-stirring. This moment, Smith's hair stood on end. His supernatural intuition made him instinctively aware of danger. Bang! Suddenly, the door of the supernatural agency was pushed open. There was a gray light emitting from inside the door, accompanied by wisps of fog, which obscured the vision, and the sound came from it. Da-da-da. There was the sound of dull, slow footsteps. Every time the footsteps fell, the hearts of Smith and the others seemed to beat as well, as if the footsteps could stir their hearts. Immediately afterwards, the mist was moving, and the outline of a tall figure emerged. It was a tall man wearing a robe from the Republic of China. The style of the clothes resembled that of a teacher. "That's a ghost. Ghost teacher. Prying into the mystery of Lord Yan, do you think you have lived too long?" A low and solemn sneer sounded. There was deep malice in Ghost Classroom's eyes. This moment, Smith was extremely frightened. The inner defenses were completely broken. Another top Ghost King. That's right. This turned out to be another top Ghost King. Who is the person in charge of Qing City? Who is he? Why are so many top Ghost Kings used by him? What is the difference between him coming to spy on such a mysterious and terrifying existence and seeking death? Damn it, all this depends on the vampires. If it weren't for their instigation, he would never have thought of investigating the person in charge of Qingxi, and he would not have encountered such a thing. How is the other party doing now? Did he suffer the same fate as him? If not, he's humming mentally unbalanced. Think of this. Smith's whole person suddenly changed. His body became strange and cold, and a layer of black energy emerged from his body. It was the ghost transformation, transforming himself into a body like a ghost, making it invisible to people. According to the people of the Dragon Kingdom, this is called a ghost. And their name is Ghost. He turned himself into a ghost. Then, run away quickly. He already ignored his other teammates. He only knew that if he was one step slower, he would die. The ghost teacher looked at the scene sarcastically. No pursuit either. Instead, he set his sights on other foreign ghost masters. Snooper, die. At the same time, City Gods Hall. Shen Jian raised his eyes and glanced in the direction of Qingxi. There seemed to be thousands of lightning flashes in the eyes, and ghosts and gods spoke. There are gods 3 feet above your head. Don't you understand this? The words fell. Shen Jian's eyes fell on another place. That's where the bloody Chinese men are. His eyes were dark. This vampire is really haunted. He doesn't like passively waiting for the enemy to attack. He decides. Go and destroy this vampire clan. If they are all dead, no one will come to cause trouble. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Bulletin Chi Gua. Chapter 533. The Other Side. Just when Smith was greeting the 18 generations of ancestors of the vampire clan, Tang Wen, a Chinese man, has led the vampire team to a luxurious office building. How's the situation around? Tang Wen asked as he looked at the high-end office building in front of him. Elder, I just used my psychic powers to listen. There are no supernatural reactions around, and there are no traces of ghost masters. It seems that Daxia Longke is not monitoring the situation here. A vampire ghost master explained. Tang Wen was stunned. No Daxia Longke monitoring? There is no ghost master to take care of you secretly? Could it be that he guessed wrong? That concubine Ji Hai, known as the Queen of Real Estate, actually has nothing to do with the person in charge of Qingxi? It shouldn't be. According to his investigation, this Ji Haifei is very famous in the business circle. Not only is she strong in skills, she is also a rare female boss. More importantly, this woman is also very beautiful. Even if you debut as a star, there will be no problem. In his opinion, since the person in charge of Qingxi has a relationship with the other party and saved his life, the two of them should have some kind of close relationship whether they are pursuing or backing him. He was even ready for the person in charge of Qing City to place a ghost controller next to this woman to take care of her secretly. But now he is told that this woman has nothing to do with the person in charge of Qingxi. Think of this. Tang Wen's face darkened. After arresting her, even if the two of them have nothing to do with each other, for the sake of their acquaintance, the person in charge of Qingxi will not ignore her. If it doesn't work, we can transform this woman into a vampire for our use. While talking, a group of people had already rushed to the office building. Tang Wen thought for a while and said, "Control point, don't kill people. This is the territory of the underworld. Once someone kills someone, the underworld will quickly lock the coordinates, and none of us can escape by then. Say it." A group of transformed blood slaves have rushed into the office and controlled all the employees. There was a lot of commotion. Tang Wen kicked open the door of the president's office. "I saw the goal of this trip." Ji Haifei wore a beige women's suit and put on light makeup. She had a capable temperament and showed off her beautiful appearance. Next to the woman, there was a pale woman with the words Secretariat Cai Min Min hanging on her chest. "Who are you?" Ji Haifei glanced at these people coldly. There were a total of 8 men on the other side, each with a cold temperament and a scarlet luster in their eyes. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the CEO's office, she could even see that one of the men was actually drooling while controlling her employees, and there was a faint trace of it. Fangs spread. Like a mad dog that is about to lose control, the kind with rabies. "Ghost controller." She added another sentence. Tang Wen said coldly, "You guessed it right, but unfortunately there is no reward. Take it away." "Wait a minute, even if I die, you have to let me understand that I, a little girl with no background, am worthy of you, the Ghost Masters, arresting me even if I disobey Qingxi's order not to take action." Fear and helplessness flashed across Ji Haifei's face. She is so virtuous and capable that she can actually let the Ghost Master deal with her again and again. The last time, it was because of family reasons that she admitted it. But what's the reason this time? Don't these people know that today's Qingxi has changed drastically? Even if she is not an insider, she knows that Qingxi is the place where the underworld comes. In Qingxi, no one can use the power of ghosts, otherwise the underworld will come to their door. Miss G knows a lot, but don't worry, we won't need to use supernatural powers when we catch you. Tang Wen was sure of victory and said, "As for why I arrested you, I naturally wanted to get to know the person in charge of Qingxi through you. He takes his time. There is no rush. Because they control a group of ordinary people, they don't need to use supernatural powers. In the territory of Qingxi, as long as you don't use supernatural powers, the patrolling agents will not come. This is based on practice. As for Daxialonke, the efficiency is not so fast. Responsible person of Qing City? Do you want to deal with Master Shen? Then your wishful thinking is wrong. There is no relationship between us. If you insist on it, it is me unilaterally trying to please him. My understanding of him may not be the same. You don't know as much." Ji Haifei explained. The reason why she knew that Shen Jian was the person in charge of Qing City was because someone wanted to ask Shen Jian to meet him through her. Only then did she know that this man who had saved her twice was actually the person in charge of a city. But as she said, the relationship between them is that of lifesavers. Her status in Shen Jian's heart may not be as good as that of a ghost. This is the conclusion she came to from what she saw and heard in copies of ghost paintings. Catching her is really useless. You might as well release a ghost, which is more likely to attract him. Perhaps because she felt that she was dead, Ji-Fei calmed down at this time and complained in her heart. Whether it works or not, we will give it a try then. Tang Wen waved his hand, take it away. The words fell. The two blood slaves stared at the scarlet light and approached Ji-Fei. Is it over? Ji-Fei's face turned pale. This group of people looked abnormal at first glance. Once they fell into the hands of the other party, her life would be basically over. City Gods Hall. Shen Jian raised his eyes and stared in the direction of King Shi with a calm expression. He wanted to destroy the vampire clan. This was not an idea that came out of nowhere. It was a plan that had been finalized after entering the Nanjiang district tournament and meeting the two high-level vampires. The key to the plan lies in the vampires' base camp and various branches. At this point, the law enforcement team of the City Lord's mansion has helped him interrogate him. He originally planned to kill all these cheap descendants after leaving the Deep Ghost Realm, so as to avoid the attention of the other party who continued to secretly fight the underworld. For this kind of ants, he always stepped on them whenever he could, never giving them a chance to harass them. Now, these people hit the muzzle of the gun. This once again aggravated his desire to destroy the opponent immediately. Thinking. Buzz. Shen Jian was sitting in the City Gods Hall, raising his hands slightly, and there were special waves rippling in his movements, which contained the power of the city god. Moment. There were dark clouds over the high-end office buildings, and the bright sky suddenly turned gloomy. Dark clouds are brewing. The purple thunder couldn't stop swaying. This moment, the bustling business district suddenly became unstable. People looked up and looked at the strange weather. The next second, thunder and thunder appeared at the same time. Thunder flashed down, and thunder shook the sky for 9 days. Rumble. Purple thunder and lightning pierced the sky, striking down with precision. Ah! Some timid women were startled when they heard the roaring thunder, their whole bodies trembled, they covered their ears and screamed in fear. Others were no better. They were all shocked. I just felt my heart tremble violently. For the first time, I felt that listening to thunder at close range was such a terrifying scene. The thunder was so loud that it was like exploding in their ears. At this time, someone seemed to have discovered something suddenly. With his eyes widened, he pointed to a high-end office building and said in horror, "The thunder just now seemed to have hit this office building." As soon as these words came out, others looked around. You can see it from a distance, it is a luxurious office building. But that's not the point. The point is, the 16th floor of the office building was hit. Someone was looking through binoculars. The whole thing fell into a sluggish state. Oh my God, it was really struck by lightning. Isn't this office building equipped with lightning rods? I even saw the ceiling wall was penetrated. Hey, this is no joke. This kind of high-end office building should have their all workers, I guess. If they were hit, they wouldn't be able to make it to the hospital. Call quickly and go rescue people. No one is so unlucky. The probability of being struck by lightning is lower than winning the lottery, let alone in a downtown area. I have lived here for so many years and I have never heard of anyone being struck directly by lightning. The scene was in chaos. Unlike the noisy commercial street, the 16th floor of the office building that was struck by lightning was Ji-Fei's president's office. The whole place was dead silent. One by one, they stared at the two black lumps of charcoal on the ground. Tang Wen was confused. Those two lumps of charcoal were once two blood slaves. The moment he gave the order, two blood slaves stepped forward to capture concubine Ji-Hai. But the next second, two bolts of lightning struck down and hit the blood slave accurately. The two blood slaves couldn't even speak, and exploded on the spot with a bang. There was no sight of flesh and blood flying everywhere as imagined. Under the high voltage of lightning, the person was directly chopped into black smoke. The only thing that can prove their existence is 2 kilograms of charcoal residue on the ground. This moment, Tang Wen was so horrified that he swallowed his saliva wildly. Coincidence. This must be a coincidence. Really, is it a coincidence? Various thoughts kept running through his mind. Reason told him that this was probably not a coincidence. Otherwise, how could he hit the blood slave just right when he was about to arrest someone? Only, he didn't want to believe it. Because if it wasn't a coincidence, it could only be because someone took action. Ken, who in Qing City has the ability to command lightning to strike without even being seen? That moment, an increasingly uneasy and absurd thought lingered in his mind for a long time. He looked up at concubine Ji Hai, his eyes filled with disbelief. As if to say, this is what you said, you have no background? Ji Hai Fei.